Today, on Arts for Life's virtual studio, we'll be making handprint trees together. So stay tuned and I'll let you know exactly what materials you'll need and walk you through the project step by step. Let's get creating. Hi everyone, my name is Katharine and I'm the project coordinator with Arts for Life at Duke Children's Hospital. Welcome to our virtual art studio where we believe art is for everyone. Today we'll be making handprint trees together, just like this one. We'll use our hands to create the trunk of the trees and then add leaves and fruit all around it to make either a real tree like an apple tree or our very own imaginary kind of tree. Let me show you some of the materials that we'll be using to make our project today. First, you'll need some paper. You can either use colorful paper or white paper. I'll be using white paper, but you're welcome to use whatever you have or whatever you like better. It doesn't matter how thick it is. It does just need to be big enough so that you can fit your whole hand on the page with a little extra space to draw around it. The other thing you'll need today are some drawing materials. I'm going to be using some crayons and some permanent markers today, but you're welcome to use whatever you like or whatever you might have on hand. It might be colored pencils, it might be watercolor paints, whatever works best for you and what you have. You might also want to have a regular pencil with an eraser. It's not necessary, but you might find that it's a little bit easier to get started with this. And that's all you'll need to make handprint trees today. So now we will adjust the camera and get started on making our project together. Now that you can see what I have set up on my art table, just remember that you might be using slightly different art materials than I am, but don't worry about that. We'll still be doing the same steps together. So this is what we're working on. Again, just a reminder, some handprint trees. So this will be our final project. So for right now, I'm gonna scoot it to the side so we have a little more space to work with our paper. The first thing you'll do is you're going to trace your hand. And you can either do this on your own or you can ask someone who may be nearby to help you, like a mom, dad, sibling, nurse, anything. Anyone who is around to help. You can also decide if you want to work on your paper vertically like this, or if you want to turn it horizontally like this. I'm going to do mine vertically so I have a little more space to fit my hand on it, but you can decide which way you like best. And I'm also going to use a pencil that we talked about with an eraser so I can make some adjustments to my tree trunk if I want to along the way. So first I'll put my hand on my paper where I want it to be for the trunk and use my pencil to trace all around the outside edges of my hand. And I always tend to get a few extra bumps when I trace my own hand. I don't know if that happens to you too, but the good thing about this project is since we're making a tree, a few extra bumps along the way make the trunk look pretty cool. So now that I have my outline of my hand and pencil, we have the option of using another art material to color it in or draw or decorate it. So I'm gonna take some of my markers. I'm using permanent markers, but again, you can use anything you'd like. And I'm gonna trace the outline of my hand so it's a little bit easier for you to see, but also so that the trunk will be easier to decorate when I'm ready. And so right now you can see my trunk has 5 branches from my 5 fingers. This is also a time if you want to add a few extra branches. So I think I'm gonna add some small branches kind of sticking off to the side like here. And I'm making mine just look kind of like loops, almost like upside down U's, like my fingers would too. So you can add some extra branches if you want to, or leave it just the 5 fingers of your hand. I'll add one more way down here too. And now that I have the trunk drawn on my handprint tree, I'm gonna add some bark texture, which you might remember from our example that we looked at earlier. So to do that, what I've decided I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw some patterns with my permanent marker, and then I'm gonna go back and color in with some crayons in just a minute. So one way I like to do bark is to draw some long squiggly lines that go all the way down the tree. And adding a few loops is kind of fun too. And just keep going till it starts to fill the space of your trunk. And these can be swoopy lines or zigzaggy lines, or if you decide you don't want to draw any lines on your trunk, that's great too. You can see I'm doing all kinds of different shapes like curlicues. This is like a big squiggly V, some straight lines. And the more you fill up your tree trunk, the more it'll start to look like a pattern. Kind of that rough pattern that some tree branches have. I don't know if you've ever looked at bark really close up, but they can be all kinds of patterns. Some trees are smooth and some trees are really rough. But that's the pattern I'm gonna put on my tree today. So now that I have the marker done, I'm gonna look at what colors I wanna use to color in the background of my tree trunk. So I drew in lines and dark brown lines on the outside, which is kind of one of those colors that most tree trunks are, but I think when I start to color it in, I'm gonna use some little bit more creative colors, like some reds, oranges, and yellows. And I'm just gonna color in parts of this. This is also a good time to let you know that just remember you can always pause this video at any point if you need a few extra minutes to work on any step I'm talking about. You can even start the video over from the very beginning if you want to kind of get a better feeling of what you want to do in what order. So for example, if you're still working on your pattern on your tree trunks, that's totally fine. Keep working on it, take your time, enjoy it, and you can always restart the video when you're ready for the next step. So I am making this tree trunk almost kind of tie-dye now that I look at it. Using these different colors, sort of blending them together when I want to. This almost looks like a summertime tree now. So you can see how that'll go. And I could finish coloring this entire thing right now, but so you can see the next step of the project, I'm gonna finish coloring this one little branch and take a pause to show you the next things you'll get to do to work on your handprint tree. Okay, so that is in process of being colored. So once you finish coloring in all of your handprint tree trunk, the next thing you'll get to work on are the leaves and the fruit of your tree. So you can think about what you want to put all around your tree. You can think about if you want to add fruit, if you want to add leaves, what shapes you might want those to be, if you want them to look like real trees, or if you want them to be like imaginary trees with your own things. So for this tree today, I think I am going to add blue fruit. And I'm gonna make my tree have star fruit. So I am gonna add some stars, just kind of floating above the tree for right now. And these are gonna be my fruit on my imaginary star tree. You can add some red circles if you want to do apples, or orange circles if you want to do oranges. You can also add little oval shapes if you want to do something like a lemon tree. There's all kinds of possibilities. Or you can make up your very own ideas too. All right, so I've got some blue stars for my star fruit tree. I think I'm going to color those in to get them started. And I just realized that I should add some stems to my fruit so that they have something to hang on the tree. So I'll color a few of these stars, just like that. And then I'm gonna add some stems. So they can grow really nice and big and strong on this tree. I'm not exactly sure what my star fruit are gonna taste like. I'll have to decide that soon. So So I'm gonna add a stem to the top of these so they can attach to my tree. And you might be looking at this and wondering, where are all the leaves? And that's what we're gonna add next. I think it's a little bit easier to add the fruit first, because then you have a little bit more space to do the leaves all around them. But you can certainly add the fruit second if you'd rather do that. But now it's time for leaves. So pick out what you want to draw your leaves with. I'm going to use markers again, and decide what shape you want your leaves to look like this time. The leaves could be ovals or long and pointy or round or have lots of different spikes like some leaves do. It can look any way you like. So what I'm going to do is almost draw this football shaped leaf, if you can kind of see these. So they're kind of pointy on each end. They also kind of look like the shape if you're drawing eyes. But they're really just sort of long squished circles or ovals. And I'm gonna draw a whole bunch because I want my tree to have lots of leaves. Now I think I'm gonna actually switch markers and add some smaller leaves and all these little spaces in between. And the more leaves you draw, the more filled out your tree will look. And I'm actually kind of switching the shape of these leaves. These almost look like upside down petals or something, but I like the different shapes. Sometimes trees you'll see in real life, if you look outside of your house or outside of your window, you'll see different shaped tree leaves. And so that's what I'm gonna add for mine. And I'm gonna work on coloring some of those in. So you'll see on mine, I'm coloring in the shapes I've drawn, but you can also color in the background around your tree. If you really wanna fill up that space fast, you could also take a crayon or marker or watercolor, whatever you'd like to use, and color in the space like this all around it. And that'll make your tree grow its leaves really fast and really filled up. So you can kind of see how that's gonna go. And you can imagine the tree comes all the way out to here. And so you can see how this is going, but I'm just gonna show you one more example of another fun made up imaginary tree. And so this tree right here, you can see we added an extra finger so it had some extra branches to grow on, but the fruit on this tree is little pigs. This is called a piggy bank tree. So we have little pig fruit and we have lots of leaves that are shaped like dollars all the way around it. And so that's a fun example of a made up tree. So you can get as creative as you want to. But just to show you one more time, the example that we looked at the beginning, you can see you can color in as much or as little of your tree as you want to. And then at the end, if you want to take your project one step further, you can even add more things in the background. You could add a horizon line or some clouds or a sun in the sky. One other fun thing you can do with this project is once you trace your hand on paper, you can cut out your hand and then glue it onto a different color paper and make it more of a collage. So there are some really great options of things you can do with this project and really make it your own. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with your handprint tree. Thank you so much for tuning into Arts for Life's virtual studio today. I hope that you enjoyed creating with me as much as I enjoyed creating with you. Here's another example of our finished project, Together Handprint Trees. Yours might look a little bit different than this one, but that's one of the greatest things about art, I think, is that different artists making the same thing create totally unique masterpieces, and I know yours looks wonderful. If you'd like to show us what you made today, please post a picture in the comments below. We'd love to see it. Remember, art is for everyone.